Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 28th Annual Santa Barbara International Film Festival. I'm Mickey Dustovich, Programming Manager here at the festival. I will be asking you to turn off cell phones later, so if we can just do that now, that'd be great. You're here to see the documentary shorts. When Michael Albright, the Programming Director, and myself got together, we decided we needed to put a great group of documentary shorts together. And we had different ideas, and then one time that we saw one of these films about this writer, and we were just like, this is an amazing short. I wonder if there's more things empowering people and have different abilities that will enlighten everybody and show you how things are done in the world today. And another one came in, and another one, and another one, and we said, we could pair this, it's going to be amazing. And so far, what we've heard since the first screening is that we put one of the best short doc sections together. So I hope you enjoy all the shorts here. I forgot to mention, I was so excited about the short docs, I forgot to mention to thank our sponsors, lynda.com. Without her and her staff, none of this would be possible. So let's hear it for Linda. So stay tuned afterwards, as there will be a Q&A. Michael Albright, our Programming Director, will be here to host the Q&A. These directors have amazing stories to tell you about the work that they did, and I hope you enjoy every film you see today. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and having a sold-out screening for this wonderful program of documentary shorts. Also want to thank the filmmakers for coming from all over the world, actually, to be here today. So thank you so much. As the programming director, this is one of my favorite shorts programs to curate, largely because you take a lot of the submissions, which this year we had 3,000 submissions total. Those wouldn't necessarily be all documentary shorts, but there's quite a few in there, and it's really a joy to be able to watch all of these and find a program that works, find themes and subjects and personalities that you could put together as a series of films. And so I want to thank all of you for making such good work. And once I find some of these themes and threads, we start to put together the films in order, and I think try to build upon some of the themes and momentum moving towards each short. This was described as a diverse range of short documentary portraits on professions and people whose life experiences bring insights and depth into the human condition. And that's basically the way that we arrange the program. So I'm going to pass the microphone off and introduce, if you could all introduce yourself and tell the audience what film you worked on, that would be great.
Thanks for having me, everybody. My name is Chet Chibok, and I directed Jiu-Jitsu in Reality.
And my name is Peyton Wilson, and I directed the film The Bronzer.
I'm Franck Janin, and I'm the director of Just Add Water.
I'm Pete Sanders, I was composer on Mr. Twister.
My name is Clay Westerveld. I was the director of Mr. Twister.
I'm Brian Tully, and I'm
Well, yeah, we'll start with each filmmaker. We'll just kind of go down the line. I'll ask a few questions, and then if you'd like, we'll have a few for the audience as well for each film. So congratulations, this is one of the, it's really a standout documentary in the program, so I know it took a long time to make and it's a lot of work. How did you first get involved with Scott? And could you just tell us a little bit about the inception of the program, or the partnership and the relationship you guys have?
Sure. So I had worked on a couple other documentary films with my producer, Diane Becker, who's not here sadly. And she was the line producer on Sex and Evil Genius, which is the film that Scott actually wrote. And so she was the one who kind of passed on the idea to me. And it was like, hey, there's this great untold story behind the story. The film's getting made. We should be part of this and document this process. So that's kind of how I got the story, and I was really thankful too. I think it turned out to be a great story for us.
I love how you put together the film. The cinematography is really beautiful, and the way that you that you portray your subject is also, you can tell that there's kindness and respect for him, and it actually transcends a lot of the perspectives and portraits that we usually get on that kind of stuff. So bold decisions that were made, and he really did a great job just capturing the personality of Scott. So I was wondering, the structure of the film is also something I really admired. At what point did you decide this was going to be a short and not a feature? And how did you, put together all the pieces with the fonts and the computers and integrate all that into it?
Well, that was, one of the things that I first considered when making this film was the fact that he really, he is an artist, but he has lost, his vocal cords voice. But despite that, he still maintains a voice, and that was one of the ideas that I wanted to maintain. So, for Scott, I think he communicates through his scripts. He definitely communicates through his family. And, I think honestly they're a wonderful family, and they just let us in, and we just followed them around for a couple days, and he keeps a very regular schedule. 4 hours out of bed into the chair, 5 hours in front of the computer. And it's an agonizingly slow process of writing. It's like, hey, C, like that pace. That's how he wrote the script. So I was thinking about that, and just kind of observing. I think I was aware of the energy that was shared in the family, and they were really honest. And I think I guess was fortunate enough to capture some of that.
And how did you communicate with Scott as a director? How did that transfer?
Yeah, so I guess if you were normally making a film, you would interview your subject. It was a little hard when he can't speak. Yes and no questions tend to be the best ones when asked interviewing live. So what we did was we basically did an email interview. And I would send him a set of questions. And he's also in the process of writing a book, which tells this whole story, so he was able to give me some, there's a rich history that was available to me just being able to read some of his autobiography. And so this back and forth of maybe 10 times, and it actually got to the point toward the end where he was like, hey, this takes me a long time to write these. Can you wrap it up? Like how many questions do you need? So, yeah, I think it worked out great.
And was it always a short? Did you ever want to make this a feature-length film, or is it going to be possibly someday, or what's the vision?
It's a great question. I think we weren't really sure when we first started. I think it functions as a short. I think I get a lot of questions about his family and his kids, and so I don't know. I think as of right now, it will live as a short, but maybe in time. Time to revisit? I'm quite sure.
Sequel?
Sequel, yeah.
All right, great. Well, maybe a couple questions for Chet. I see.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What camera, what format, what camera did you film on?
Sorry?
The question was the camera.
Yeah, what camera you used to film?
It was a 5D. Canon 5D.
Actually, I think a lot of these might be
Yeah.
5D. You can kind of tell, from a programmer's perspective, that I love the look of it, and I think it really stands out when you see a bunch of documentaries and you see something so cinematic that's shot in the Canon 5D. Maybe one of you can explain the camera just so the audience understand what this is. But it is a revolutionary technology. Is this cinematographer?
It's right there.
No,
Oh, it's right there. Oh.
That's what we all film our camera.
For us, the reason we chose it was my Chad Man, the director of photography, loved it, and he thought it was just a personal story. And it was also tight spaces, trying to make his room, his office, a character. And honestly, we only had, aside from the shoot that we were on the studio, we only could shoot in his home. So, and honestly, Chad loved the camera, and he thought it was right for the film, so that's why we chose it.
It's a very cinematic look. There's a lot of depth, and it can achieve a lot. Yeah.
So what was Scott's reaction to the film?
He really likes it. He really likes it, and I think what he likes is the fart joke. I think that was very important to him. That I think his sense of humor kind of comes through, and I think he was pleased with that.
And how's he doing now? How is his health?
He's doing well. I initially came to the screening on Sunday. There was another screening here, and his wife and his parents were both here. His brother was here, and unfortunately, it's kind of a brutal drive, just bouncing around in the car from Los Angeles up here. But he's doing really well. I think he's lost a little bit more neck movement, but he's still writing. He has a new assistant. Just because, nothing dramatic. Let's move on. But he's doing well.
More question? Yeah.
What's the status of the film that he was making?
Oh yeah, the film that was produced at the time, that was produced from the script, is, I guess, set to, I think it was sold to Lionsgate, and I think there's a limited release this spring, is what I understand. And I think eventually this short will maybe be paired on a DVD or something like that.
Hello.
Sure, one more question, yeah.
This applies to all of you, actually. I don't know if you know of Link TV, L-I-N-K. They're nationwide and worldwide, but they're non-profit, and if any of you are considering turning it into even a half hour, they'll do half-an-hour documentaries, 1-hour documentaries, and they also do international films, alternative news. It's completely listener, viewer supported and not commercial, so they can do whatever they want, and they value the kind of programming that you do. So if any of you are thinking of turning it into a half hour or whatever, I just wanted to Link TV.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Welcome. I loved your film, and also it was such a revealing insight into a craft that, of course, I never really even realized existed. But I guess there's many of these things that are out there. He's one of the last, right? The last concert. So, getting in touch with Stu initially, can you just tell us a little about how you met and the idea for the film?
I was looking to do a short character study of just an oddball. And so I kind of mentioned it to some people. For some reason I have in New York a lot, and I had a sense of I wanted to tell a New York story about an odd New Yorker. And I mentioned it to a producer that I know, and he said, well, I got the guy for you. And it was funny because he told me about Stewie, and I thought, well, this guy can't really exist in terms of how he described him and what he does, and he's got no edit button. So I went out and we took the camera, the 5D, and because I thought, well, I'll just go meet him. I can't imagine he's going to be really that good. And the minute he opened the door, I was like, well.
And how long was the shoot? Did you have a day of the life? 6 months?
6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Stop and start. Yeah.
Great. And then has he had a chance to come to these screenings as well and travel with the film? And bring his bronzer?
He couldn't come here, but yes, he's gone to many screenings. Yeah. And then he's a hit at all the screenings.
And then going, traveling with him door to door and going to these things, was it ever any difficulty getting some of this footage and going into these people's homes and these situations and capturing the film, or was it all pretty?
Yeah, Stewie's so funny, is I said, well, because I direct commercials, is my other life, and so I know a lot about releases and this and that, so I thought, well, we really have to let people know ahead of time. He's like, no. So we would go in, and then, because the camera's so small, and they wouldn't really know what we were doing, and then I will say he's a pretty good salesman, because at the end, we'd have to put out a release, and they would just kind of sign it without knowing what's happening. He's like, get out, leave right now. Okay. So that's how it was, we really winged it.
There's actually a lot, it reminds me of David and Albert Maysles as the salesman in so many ways too, which is one of my all-time favorites.
Cool,
so.
that's nice to hear that.
Yeah. Any questions for Peyton? Yes?
How did you construct the storyline? You just a bunch of material and then figure out what you could do with it, or do you have an idea beforehand?
That's, as everyone here will tell you, that's the hardest thing about making a documentary, is you get all this material, and that's the beginning, the middle, and the end. So, yeah, I think it really came together in the edit, and it was very revealing to me. I knew we had the ending when I was with him in the hotel room, and he kind of poured his heart out about the loneliness of being on the road. So I recall at that time thinking, okay, we can start with the quirky, the challenges, but I wanted to end on a little bit more of a human note with him, so we saw that side. And I started to see a little bit of the Willy Loman, the death of a salesman, in him as well at that moment too. So I thought, well, no, it's interesting to put that in there.
Yes.
Hey, so I'm asking this given the fact that there's no way to fully anticipate how an audience is going to react to your work. Does it feel like you're walking a fine line between, with certain stylistic choices, a kind of exposition, observation, and perhaps kind of mockery? or objectification of yourself?
Yeah, it's all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's Stewie. He plays it up a little bit,
Right.
but again, I think that's why I want to show a little bit. That's why I want to show the human side of him at the end, and then, quite frankly, if you were sitting here, you know, you would say to the self-absorbed salesman side. So I tried to put all of that in, and there's no edit button, and he's painfully honest. I mean, the way he spoke about his ex-wife, and I showed him the cut, and I thought, oh, that's probably gonna be the one bit he might not want in there, but he said, it's my truth.
Yeah, I love that kiss, that scene of the kiss.
Yeah, and that was, to me, felt a little nostalgic of the woman he's with now.
Yeah.
He's got is the love of his life.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on that. Hello, welcome to Santa Barbara. Where did you travel from Paris?
Yes, I am. Long way.
Just for a 3-minute short.
Yeah, but you pay me a hotel, so.
Well, we're glad you could make it. Loved your film, loved the music choice as well. It's a great song. What came first when you decided to do this? Was it the song that inspired the film, or was it the going and being in Bangkok? And I assume that who's your collaborator is a friend, or
it's my brother.
Your brother. Okay, I'm sorry. So your brother and you were in Bangkok and I guess shooting the footage. And then when did you decide this was going to be the way you cut it, edited? I mean, I love the juxtaposition, love the montage with the music. It's such a beautiful short film.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to apologize for my bad English. I will try to do my best. I was traveling all around the world for 6 months for another project, another short film on my own. When I stopped in Bangkok in April 2010, and my brother wanted to join me for a project. First of all, a project like more dramatic short film with a proper narration, you know. So we started to do this when the red shirt stuff happened. So when I get back to Paris, few months after, I decided to turn our story more like a documentary and use what happened to tell another story. So we forget about the first story we had, right? You understand? Yeah. So it's turned like a documentary, and we wanted to do a film to explain what we feel as a person. In the middle of Songkran Festival, everybody really happy, throwing water to each other, and a few blocks away, people killed each other. So that's weird. So that's why we decided to make this parallel, because that's what we feel. Really strange.
It's a really powerful juxtaposition, and again, the music you chose was really wonderful. Was the song something you always had in mind for the scene, and was it synced accordingly after you shot the footage?
Not at all. We decided to put the music during the montage. So the first music for the beginning of the movies has been done for the film, and for the second part, it's Mika P. Hansen, which chose this song because we saw just a perfect song for this scene.
And did you ever feel uncomfortable shooting any of this footage in Bangkok when it was all happening? I mean, not the water footage, but you know, the police brutality and the stuff that was going on. Was that ever uncomfortable, or did you have to?
So the first images you have, like with the protests just starting, that's my own footage. But the last, the last images you have, like where people killed, that's not mine. It's how do you say? Archival?
Yeah, archival or found footage.
So the choice to keep the right archives, work with our footage from the Songkran was really important to, you know, for the images to work together in the final film.
Right, great. Any questions for Frank? Yes.
What was the song again?
Mika P. Hansen is the name of the artist, and I don't remember. the name of the song.
Yes.
How do you spell that? Pete Hansen?
Henson, I think.
Oh,
Mika,
okay.
M-I-K-I.
Beneath the rose.
Oh, yes.
That's, he knows. He knows better than me.
I Shazammed it during the screening.
Oh,
Lovely song.
Beneath the rose.
yeah, I don't know if you heard, he Shazammed it during this.
I mean, it was hard to have the permission to use this song.
Oh.
I mean, we contact directly Mika, and I think he saw the film, and he said, okay. So we don't pay anything.
It's okay. Yes.
The film is very powerful, sitting here in Santa Barbara, California. Have you shown it in Thailand, and what was the reaction?
No. If I have the opportunity to do it, of course I'm going to do it. But for me it's a first screening with like a proper public. That I'm really happy.
Gentlemen, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around for most of you guys have been here for like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah,
Good
we're moving in.
troopers. Well, thanks for being here again. So Clay, we spoke last week when we first premiered the film, and I was asking about the inception of the project, the involvement with USC, the organization behind autism, and how you got funding and support for the film.
So you want like a condensed answer?
Sure, yeah.
So this project came up really very quickly and very smoothly. I had initially met Brian at the Hollywood Farmers Market, where you see him toward the end of the film. My gym's near there. I just happened by the Farmers Market and was really intrigued by Brian's artwork, and then got on talking to Brian a little bit. And about 2 weeks later, I got a call from a professor at USC. Mark Harris is a documentary film producer who is an Oscar-winning documentarian himself, and he had just started embarking on a project called Interacting with Autism. It's a new website, www.interactingwithautism, and the idea is for this website to be a resource for parents and medical professionals and anyone who is researching autism. He wanted to have a very heavily video-oriented website, and he said there are too many projects to put in here and I can't do them all myself. So my name had been on a list of people that were recommended to him. So he said, if you have any ideas, and I said, well, actually I have one. And so I went over to his office, I pitched him the idea of doing a character sketch to introduce Brian, who I thought was a really fascinating character. And he loved the idea, we signed off on it then and there, and I think in less than 2 weeks we were finished. Is that right? It was pretty quick, right?
And I guess this could be answered by either you or Brian, whoever's comfortable discussing it, but where can we find more of his work? And it's such beautiful stuff. I mean, is it going to be at farmers markets in Santa Barbara? Is it
Well, right now there's a sample of it outside, right? You set up a little table, there's a small sample, you have way more than that. Do you want to talk about where else it's going to be?
Well, there.
You're still doing farmers markets, right?
Yeah, at the Hollywood, at the downtown Hollywood farmers markets, mostly every Sunday, we come by from time to time. And if I'm not usually there, I have a website called www.briantolly.com.
There's also a Facebook page. We're trying to remember what the address is for that.
Now, Brian, if you had unlimited resources and you could build anything, how big would your artwork grow? How would you become if you could just do anything you wanted?
I'm not technically quite sure. It's just, I don't know, the possibilities are endless.
Do you like working though with small figures, or would you like to do something much more grandiose?
I may try, eventually, I may try in the future, working on something a little more bigger than usual. But that I really don't know what to make just yet.
So you're not going to try to do a life-size car or something like that? Isn't it?
I can only dream.
Questions for Ryan? Yes?
Did somebody buy your shoe? Is it still available?
Well, unfortunately, it's only for display at the moment.
You've had several offers to purchase it, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, as a follow-up, what inspired the shoe? It's so different from all the other things.
Well, I wanted to try something a little different, a little more life-size. So, and it was it was hard for the 3 months of making it because of, what's it called? I don't know, I wanted to try something a little more hollow than what I usually try filling in as a solid. I don't know how that makes any sense. But, I don't know. Most of it was really complicated, just in general.
You used a shoe as a model, right?
Yeah.
Whose shoe was it?
One of my brother's old shoes.
Did you get that bronze?
Networking, collaboration.
The sequel. It's a sequel.
2014. Give us a free submission. Waiver fee or whatever. Yes?
Hi, Brian. Do you like to engage in other art activities like drawing cartoon characters or drawing?
Well, mostly what's it called? Well, mostly just drawing, but never really painting much. It doesn't have that much. It doesn't have that much life in it. I'm usually just better with a pencil of drawing, but I haven't really tried nothing much just yet. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe in the future.
Yes, one more question.
That leads to a question for me. So do you draw out these characters first and create them with the twist ties, or do they happen organically as you make them? What is your process?
The process of creating the art, whether they're drawn and then how do they become figures?
Yeah. Well, most of the time I usually just create them twist ties, but most of the times if I ever get bored, or mostly if I have to do some sort of art project or some sort, usually just take the ideas of my twist tie figurines and usually put them on paper.
But I've seen you do some, like the surfboard that you did and some of these other ones where you sort of start with a framework of sorts, right?
Yeah.
Is it, how does that come about? Is it just sort of, is that by design or it just organically occurs?
Mostly organically, but if it's like a request, a commission, I usually try to scale it a little, just so I won't try to mess things up.
Well, we had brute force here last screening, so it's unfortunate that he couldn't come, but I can assure you that he's as amazing as he is in the film. He's a very strong personality. He's a lot of fun to talk with, and I believe that film is continuing to possibly even be made into a feature-length doc. So the brute force story continues, and I think they're doing a tour, and I guess down the road. So, anyways, please give a big round of applause for